Hello and a warm welcome to another episode of Living Football. We are back in Zurich at the home of FIFA after our wonderful trip to Kinshasa for the first African Schools Champions Cup, with the joy of football being celebrated in a festival atmosphere. And of course, we congratulate once again the winning teams from Congo DR and Morocco, but basically everyone involved was a big winner. Today we want to take a look back. There is no doubt that the COVID-19 pandemic was one of the biggest challenges that world football has ever faced. And FIFA was quick to respond with the COVID-19 Relief Plan 2 years ago. Today, FIFA's Medical Director Massey will explain why football will emerge in an even stronger position than before. 2 years ago, FIFA announced the COVID-19 Relief Plan, giving all member associations the opportunity to access funding. Today, we can see the huge difference this funding has made to world football. We are now joined by Massey, FIFA's Medical Director and former long-term team doctor of Liverpool FC. Andy, so nice to see you again. Andy, from a doctor's point of view, is the worst of the pandemic behind us?
Well, listen, lots of the predictions that we had at the start of the pandemic were based around the assumption that there was no pandemic in history, in world history, that had lasted longer than 18 months. So lots of our planning in the early stages have been based upon this. Now, we know that the world is a smaller place. There's a lot more travel, there's a lot more interaction, and that seems to have bred the virus to last a little bit longer. And added into this are the variants of concern, which have elongated the pandemic even further. What we think is that we're coming towards the end of it now. We're sure that we've got the tools that we can fight against the pandemic, and those are namely the things that we've learned about the hygiene, about the physical distancing, and probably most importantly about the vaccinations. And it's the vaccinations where we think we have enough of to go around the world. The issue is getting these to the people that are in need of them, so that there's equitable distribution. So in answer to your question, yes, we are seeing the end of the pandemic, we hope, as long as we can have a concerted effort to try and fight against it.
How big is the risk still in football?
There's minimal risk in football per se. There's been very few instances that we found where the infection has been passed on within the football pitch. The risks remain constant throughout every walk of life, and I mentioned them earlier about the distancing, the droplet spread, the hygiene measures, and the test and trace. So whilst I say that the person-to-person spread within a football pitch is low, everything that goes around football carries with it a risk. Be that the mass gatherings with the spectators where the physical distancing is obviously decreased, or be that with the actual players themselves travelling from one place to another, going from club to country, or vice versa, from country to club. There is still a risk, the same as there's ever risk in every walk of life. So we have to be vigilant with that, and we have to try and put in as many things in place as possible that we reduce that risk as much as we possibly can.
Health always comes first, and FIFA was very quick to set up this $1.5 billion COVID Relief Fund and also a return to play protocol. How did FIFA help to protect players around the world, either on the elite or grassroots level?
The two documents that you've mentioned there are two very important documents in my eyes, coming from the medical side of things. We had the return to play protocol, which went hand in hand with the international match protocol. So it was a way to look at countries who either had football suspended or had restrictions in place. If football was suspended, the return to play document gave us a route out of that suspension so that we could bring football back in a safe way. For the countries that were facing restrictions, which was 99% of the countries, we had the international match protocol, which put in policies in place to try and limit the amount of spread whenever football was being played. Going hand in hand with both of those was actually the risk assessment tool, the FIFA risk assessment tool, which was a fantastic document that could be applied at all levels of football, be it grassroots or the very highest international levels. It was a way to rate the risk, and also had with it various provisos that you could reduce the risk to make any sort of risk acceptable to healthcare. Obviously, nobody wants to take risks whenever health is involved, but this risk assessment tool was a way to objectify that and to put policies in place that would try and decrease the risk. Now, that all said, the COVID Relief Fund, for somebody like me who hasn't been in the job that long, I think one of the biggest things that attracted me to FIFA was that we have this global reach. Football is a global game, and this COVID Relief Fund has meant that the restrictions that are in place, FIFA can fund those, be it through the hygiene measures or the sanitisation, or the testing that is one of the ways to try and prevent this spread. It meant that those things were a lot easier to implement to make things a lot safer for everybody.
And thanks to the COVID-19 relief plan, FIFA was able to help its 211 member associations quickly, efficiently, and in any way needed all over the world.
Health comes first, well before football. It was important for us to help the world, because FIFA is the world. FIFA is all member associations, and many of them are suffering. We approved today a COVID-19 relief plan worth $1.5 billion.
This wala COVID-19 make him sample na waka. So through that pala funding, I'm helping motor boys. I'm helping motor boys too for asking mo katalo sa law finance and allowances without him that pala fund had to invite him in training.
And we really appreciate the support that FIFA has given us to carry out our activities and enabling us to fulfill our commitments with our football development in the country.
It has been a long time, 6 months after football has been stopped. But for sure, the football should be going on.
ก็รู้สึกดีใจครับที่แบบก็เป็นนักกีฬาพี่ก็คืออยากกลับมาเตะอยู่แล้วไอ้ช่วงที่หยุดไปก็เบื่อด้วย
We don't want to stand still. We prepare a lot. We have to change a little bit our life to relate it to the situation right now. But we are ready. We are ready to restart. FIFA is support the COVID test in our country. FIFA never left us behind.
FIFA ให้การสนับสนุนนั้นสมาคมสามารถนำไปใช้จ่ายเกี่ยวกับเรื่องการแข่งขันที่จะทำให้มีการแข่งขันฟุตบอลเกิดขึ้นได้อย่างเต็มที่ไม่ว่าจะเป็นการนำไปใช้กับการนำระบบ VAR มาสนับสนุนการจัดการแข่งขันการนำเงินนั้นไปใช้กับการบริหารจัดการในองค์กรนะครับเช่นเป็นเบี้ยเลี้ยงเป็นเงินเดือนหรือค่าตอบแทนแก่พนักงาน
После этого, как пандемия уже пришла в Кыргызстан, все соревнования они пошли под запретом. То есть мы не смогли не провести никакие соревнования, они были все под запретом. Возобновить сезон у нас получилось благодаря помощи, оказанной фондом FIFA по снижению последствий COVID-19, благодаря той помощи, которую оказал нам этот фонд.
Скажем, это FIFA, спасибо, каждый год тоже помогает. Вот в этом году особенно самый FIFA нам очень помог, потому что у нас пандемия, там в мэрии был вопрос, деньги выделять, не выделять, поэтому это FIFA очень приятно сделал всем командам, я думаю, считаю, клубам.
As we've seen in the previous video, member associations have used their grants for health measures, protocol implementation, to support their women's competitions. As part of the COVID-19 relief plan, FIFA made up to $500,000 available to each member association for use specifically in aiding women's football. For the restart of competitions or national team activities, as well as for administrative support or social initiatives. What do you think, Andy? Will the COVID-19 relief plan allow football to emerge in an even stronger position than before COVID-19?
Yes, for sure. What it has done, whenever you look specifically at COVID, is allow those policies to be put in place to make things as safe as possible. We still have the risk of COVID, but hopefully with the policies that I mentioned earlier with regards to the physical distancing, with regards to the hygiene measures, with regards to the sanitisation, with regards to the testing, we can reduce that risk to something that is as low as physically possible, so that we can continue playing football everywhere. Now, what it has also done is shown me that with that collaboration between the 211 member associations, we've been able to return to football in the majority of those countries so far. And that highlights then what 211 member associations coming together can do collaboratively, whether that's a fight against further infections, whether that's a fight against physical inactivity or obesity, or whether that's something topical like sudden cardiac death. The collaboration that was put in place to fight against COVID can be used against so many other health issues, and that's one of the most exciting things about this job.
Speaking about vaccination, meanwhile, FIFA and the WHO have teamed up together to promote the need for fair access to COVID-19 vaccines, treatments, and of course diagnostics. And also a Premier League legend is involved, Didier Drogba. As a WHO Act Together ambassador, he is also demanding a fair distribution of vaccines globally.
I think it's so important for the fight against COVID-19 that everybody gets the same access to the vaccines. What's the point of having a part of the world vaccinated and the other one like vaccinated maybe at 1 or 3%, knowing that we're living in a world where traveling is important, where even for work there's a lot of things that you cannot do no more if you're not vaccinated, and plus you're at risk, and we saw the damages of this virus. So I think in order to reduce this pandemics that we had in the past few years, I think it's important that we all work together, we all act together.
Andy, we've heard Didier. What are the biggest challenges?
We've heard from Dr. Tedros at the WHO late last year, who said that we have the tools to fight this pandemic. And by that he means we have all the vaccines that we need. The issue is that these are not equitably distributed throughout the world. The places that need haven't been getting these vaccines. So the Act Together campaign is a way to see if we can encourage vaccinations, and we can encourage that these are equitably distributed to the people that need them. So working very closely with the WHO, working very closely with the Gavi Institute, which is a collaboration between WHO, UNICEF, the World Bank, who've been able to deliver 1 billion vaccines throughout the world in places that are at need. So if we can use what Dr. Tedros says is the tools to fight this pandemic, and we can encourage people in the uptake of the vaccines and deliver it to them, then that puts us in a very good position that people will have enough of an immunity to this virus that hopefully will start to die out.
Andy, you're in Qatar right now inspecting the medical setup. Everything going well?
Everything is going very well in Qatar. We are blessed to have a host country with a fantastic health infrastructure. The hospitals and the ambulance service that they have here are second to none. Lots of our work is going in now to the educational side of things. FIFA's job is to assist the team doctors as much as we can. We want to use our educational support to try and help the team doctors. We want to give them every tool in the toolbox so they can look after the players as much on the field, and as well as what the spectators will be looked after off the field by the host country. So lots of our work at the moment is working with the participating member associations, working with the team doctors, focusing on the big points that we're going to have coming into the World Cup, be that concussion or sudden cardiac death, or even the basic musculoskeletal injuries. So trying to assist the doctors, give them every opportunity to treat as optimally as possible.
Thank you, Andy, and goodbye. All the best. It's a very important and meaningful work you're doing for FIFA, so thank you very much. Andy Massey, have a good day.
Thank you very much.
We started this Living Football episode with pictures from Kinshasa, and now we return to Africa. In December 2020, a new generation of players, coaches and administrators took to the pitch and the classroom in a series of competitions and workshops organized by the Council of Southern Africa Football Associations. With football postponed as a result of COVID-19, the activities, supported by funding from FIFA, represented a fresh start in organized football for many female players and officials in the region, and an important step in the development of young female players, coaches and a new generation of female football leaders in Africa.
People almost lost hope because it is so depressing. If you can come out and organize a tournament of this nature, it's very, very significant. So for them, it's double learning. They learn to play football. They also learn how to manage and handle themselves during this COVID pandemic.
We're just excited that football has restarted, and we still have to take precaution on that, but everybody's excited just to be back onto the field again.
FIFA has come up with a lot of courses that have assisted administrators, have assisted coaches, have assisted referees for the development of the game, and we are all grateful to that.
COSAFA's philosophy is not just about playing the game on the pitch, leaving and going home. It's about developing women across all spheres. Our administration course, which is ongoing at the moment, specifically for female administrators in sport.
We've had the ladies for 1 week. They've worked very hard. They've been very, very engaging. We're just hoping that they will take whatever they've learned from all of us back to their respective destinations and continue working for football.
But for you who are running football, be accessible to them. Give them good stories.
I am so grateful for this because it shows that women are moving forward in the world of sports. And this is going to open new doors. Yes.
It does start with the national associations utilising the resources that are given to them by FIFA. I think the situation is bright.
In our forthcoming episodes, we continue to showcase some of the myriad projects that FIFA and also the FIFA Foundation are developing, supporting and funding all around the world. That's all we have time for in this episode. Next time, we will report from the 72nd FIFA Congress. Until then, please stay healthy and bye-bye.